Okay, forgot to start recording. Recording today. We missed all about the fast, but today's the 17th of Tammuz, July 23rd. We're on page 77 of the Chayenu. And you'll just have to trust me, for those that are watching the video, that we just spoke about the importance of the fast, that the fast brings us closer to Hashem, and that should be our main focus of today. Instead of worrying about eating, we're worrying about getting closer to Hashem. However, there still remains the fast in excess of, for example, the 252, meaning whatever number exceeds 3 times the prescribed number of fasts for any particular sin. Oh, and we mentioned also that we could redeem the fasts through tzedakah. So if we can't fast, then it's too difficult for us. By the way, that applies even today. Somebody is unable to fast due to a medical reason or due to some illness, whatever the particular reason might be, they should give tzedakah in the equivalent of whatever meals they would have been eating, right? Whatever the breakfast, lunch, and dinner would have cost them, at least breakfast and lunch, because dinner, the fast will be over. They should give tzedakah in equivalent to that. So shahayat tzarich lisanois lachush lidaas hamachmirin lisanois b'mispar tzemishal kol chet v'chet k'fi mispar apamim shachatik niskalil. When we're fasting and we're trying to calculate and figure out how many fasts we need versus which sins we did and all that other thing, obviously, this is a major. You sit down, you calculate at the end of the month, your budget. What came in, what went out. If you're running a business, or even if you're doing your home, prices are going up. How could I save here? How could I do this? So the same thing when it comes to a cheshbon nefesh, a calculation of the soul. What did I do right? What can I improve upon? What do I have to stay away from? How do I break my habits and my, the negative things that I do or think or say? So we tried to come up with different ways and means. And then we think about the idea of fasting, especially on a day like today, that one ought to fast in deference to the more stringent opinion insisting on the appropriate number of fasts for every violation committed as noted above. So what do we do if we can't fast all those fasts? As we mentioned, we give tzedakah. Yifteh kulam b'tzedakah erech chai gedolim poilish ba'ad kol yom. Yud, I thought you would get a kick out of this one. He may redeem them all by charity to the value of 18 gedolim poilish for each fast day. I don't know what gedolim poilish is. I guess it's a certain currency, right? Maybe in Poland, a certain coin or whatever. So 18 gold coins, big coins, whatever it is. So for us, let's say it's $18. Maybe it's more than that. I don't know. So too, charity may redeem all of the fasts that should have undergone sins for not entailing misa. What's misa? Death penalty. Even for neglecting a positive mitzvah. And we said this in the beginning of Igeres Hateshuvah, that's even graver than doing a prohibition. Missing a mitzvah that you could have done. And even for neglecting a positive mitzvah, whether it's in the Torah or rabbinically ordained, the Talmud Torah Neged Kulam, for neglect of the positive commandment of Torah study is equivalent to them all. If you move the table, it shakes. Kefi hamispar hamafayrash betikun hateshuvah mehari zachren lebracha ruba niskarim b'meshinas chasidim b'meseches hateshuvah. According to the number of fasts prescribed by the penances of the Arizal, most of these are noted in the Mishnah's Chasidim Tractate Shuvah. All of the different fasts that are prescribed could be redeemed through tzedakah, as we explained earlier. Ila motzi litzaure nafshei kiniskalil v'af sheyale lesach hamesuyam ein lachosh mishum al vazvez yoser mechomesh. Though this might amount to a very considerable sum, especially if you're starting to add up 252, right? Menachem. What's 18 times 3 times 252? It starts to add up a little bit. And that's just the start. That's just the starting point of one particular Aveda. So we're talking about 5,000. Okay. So nevertheless, though this might be a very large amount, he need not fear violating the injunction that one should not extravagantly distribute more than 1/5 of one's property to tzedakah. The law mikre bizbuz uchahai gavna me'achar shoyse dfos lifdais nafshay me'atainus v'si gufim. He shouldn't worry about giving too much, because this kind of giving cannot be termed extravagant distribution, since he does it to redeem himself from fasting and affliction. He's not just giving away money. He's doing it so that he doesn't have to fast. He's paying for something. He's redeeming his fasts. This is no less necessary than healing his body or other needs, in which one does not restrict one's spending to 1/5 of his means. If somebody has very little money, but he needs to eat, he's going to spend up to his last penny to eat. He's not going to hold back. That's what the Tanya is saying here. Since the number of fasts enumerated in the above mentioned penances of the Arizal is exceedingly great. Unbelievable. So therefore, since obviously we probably owe a lot of money to redeem those days which we didn't fast, to redeem the fasts. So therefore, all who revere the word of Hashem are now accustomed to being very generous when it comes to tzedakah, which is given in place of fasting. And this is in addition to the regular tzedakah. Chamas, Chalishus, Hadar, Delo, Motzu, Tzaure, Nafsham, Kule, Hai. Why? Because today it's very difficult for us to even fast the regular fast that we have to try to fast. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe is not, he's saying here basically, I don't think he has any expectations that we're doing 252 fasts a year. And and that's just the starting point. So therefore, we have to give a lot of tzedakah, and have in mind that I'm giving tzedakah to help redeem the fasts and to get basically in place of Teshuvah to do what I got to do. A comment is made elsewhere on this subject. In other words, the kindness of Hashem, for they are not concluded. The last 3 Hebrew words here, translated as they are not concluded, may also be interpreted as for we are not perfect. Accordingly, in Igeres, the Alter Rebbe explains the verse, since we are not perfect and we're burdened by sins that plead for rectification, we are in need of Hashem's infinite kindness and charity. We beg Hashem, we know we're not perfect. Hopefully we do as much as we can, and hopefully we have the right mindset, but we need Hashem's mercy to forgive us because, and in order to elicit kindness and pardon of an infinite order, man for his part must exceed the conventional finite bounds of charity. That means we have to go above and beyond in order to elicit Hashem's brachas and kindness. So the takeaway for today, Chavra, is give tzedakah generously. This is spiritual healing, and there should be no spending cap when it comes to healing. And additionally, of course, it takes place of the fasting. Meanwhile, everybody who is fasting, have a wonderful day, meaning it shouldn't be difficult and painful, but we should focus instead on getting closer to Hashem and doing mitzvahs, and of course, giving extra tzedakah. And if we have to rest, we rest, but it shouldn't be a day spent in any kind of enjoyment other than the simcha shel mitzvah, especially if there's a siyum or something like that, even if there is, but we wouldn't eat until after the fast. There's a bris, there's all different types of laws, but we should try to find ourselves, I read over here somewhere that there's a certain sadness from the past, but at the same time, and let me just read it to you. He says, don't despair. Don't despair. Although we find ourselves in the dark, bitter gullus, and this is a time of sad time, person should not despair, Rahman al-Islam. The lesson to educate and uplift is that, on the contrary, particularly in this generation, in the generation of the birth pangs of Mashiach, the inner hidden aspects of Torah, it uncovers and extols the inner meaning of these days, that these days have in them the full strength of the love of Hashem to the Yid. Just before a woman gives birth, it's the most painful and difficult time. She knows she's about to have a baby. There's also an excitement in the air. So though we must keep all the laws of mourning in the 3 weeks, as required by Shulchan Aruch, we have to find ways in the spirit of Torah to act with happiness, as we said in the morning. Yivdos Hashem b'simcha. We're serving God. We have to serve God with a joy and an inner joy, even during these days. For example, we make a siyum, and when we make a siyum, we transform the day into a yontif of Rabbanon, and also eat a sud of meat. When we make a siyum on a Masechta even during the 9 days. Or more generally, we can focus our energy on learning Torah. Learning Torah certainly gladdens the heart, especially if it's a hard sugya and you push through, and you like, we talked about this once during the Maimer, that, even higher than a smell, beautiful smell, or a sound of music, is the comprehension of a shtickle Torah that we're working on. It's unexplainable. If you know, you know. And maybe in Yavin, you learn something, especially if it's difficult, and then when you chap it, there's a euphoric feeling that's unimaginable, undescribable. So we have also an emphasis of learning Hilchos Beis HaBechira about the Beis HaMikdash and the like, and through learning Torah on subjects of how the Beis HaMikdash looked, it's considered as if we're involved in the building of the Beis HaMikdash. How can we not get joy from that? So we follow the halacha, and we do what we got to do, and we don't have weddings, and we don't listen to music, and we don't cut our hair. But we have Simcha Shal Mitzvah and Simcha Shal Torah and Talmud Torah Kneged Kulam. Meanwhile, everyone have a good day, and we'll see you, Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow.